Good evening, friends. Hope you're doing well. It's been a beautiful day here. Sun's been shining, breeze is blowing. It's just like a perfect day. You know, when I met Darlene, she was a Buddhist. I don't think she was like a serious type Buddhist, but you know, she'd been into different religions, and at this point in her life, she was a Buddhist. And I never really could figure out what nirvana was. She was on the road to nirvana. You know, and it was like life cycles and reincarnation and ascending to a higher plane, and I never could really wrap my mind around what she was saying. And then, like, the spiritualism is a slippery slope. You can never really get good traction. And so that was how it went when we talked about Buddhism. Didn't really understand what it was or where it was leading or where it was coming from. And then along the way, we had a couple of friends. He was a teacher in a university, I think biology professor, very intelligent. We were walking one day. This is after I began to get a hint that there was a God and my life was being changed. We were walking one day and we were talking about the origin of man, you know, where we came from, where we're going. And he looked at me, and basically what he said was, what he said was, "You're a dog." You know, often we think about being descended from monkeys, but you know, in his vocabulary, you know, he used the word dog. And I asked him, I said, "Well, how about you?" He said, "I'm a dog too." And I thought, I don't bark. But there was something in this undirected genetic mutations, this evolution that I couldn't quite sink my teeth into. You know, that's what I'd bought into all my life. That's what I'd heard in elementary and high school and college. You know, but to say I'm a dog, I just couldn't really understand that perspective. So that was the Buddhism with Darlene and this very nice man, this college professor, filling my mind with his evolutionary ideas, and just none of it seemed to make sense. But you know, when we got out to nature, because we were deep into nature, when we moved out of the city and got into Mentone, the Lord had placed us deep in the heart of nature. And there, things began to make sense. You know, the sun would come up at a designated time every day. You know, you could count on it. And then you have the food growing in the garden. You always reap what you sow. You plant a tomato seed, you get tomatoes. You plant an apple tree, you get apples. There was an order. There was a system. You know, and Darlene was very interested in nature. And she began to use these herbal agents. And I'm not talking, there's some quackery in the field of herbs. But there are some scientifically validated herbal agents that are placed in nature. And the question is, placed by whom, right? Placed in nature that can treat some of these health issues, but do it naturally with no side effects. You know, it's a very safe course of treatment. You know, so Darlene, if she had maybe in some sort of infection or some problem, she was growing echinacea and buying astragalus and chaparral and golden seal, and began to see the garden not only made sense for food on the table, but it was nature's medicine chest. You know, and the things we needed for our health were out in nature too. In fact, it kind of seemed tailor-made for our needs. And the question is, who's the tailor? Because when Darlene was sharing about the Buddhist, there was no personal God. There was no personal being, not somebody you could really talk to. And when my friend, the professor, told me I was a dog, you know, that kind of stopped the discussion right there. You know, there's just no system, no rhyme, no reason, no personality involved in a very cold, sterile process of evolution over billions of years. You know, so spiritualism, it just lacked these things. Evolution, it lacked these things. But you know, when I got a hint that there was a God, and began to see God work in my life, and could see Him revealed in nature, then all of a sudden, it was something I could sink my teeth into. And nature became a new book. And it was a great blessing. By the way, this is Spiritualism Part 4. 59, 60, and 61. Those chapters are the first 3 in Spiritualism. It's good to watch those. It makes more sense, as I go along. But, it just made more and more sense. And I think the reason it made sense, that I finally got some traction, I could sink my teeth into it, is that I saw revealed in the garden, in the wildflowers, in the cloud formations, all of these beautiful systems with their order and precision. I began to see evidence that there was a personal God, someone that cared, a tailor that had structured nature in a way that would bless us and help us and comfort us. Didn't find any of that in Buddhism or in evolution. Spiritualism, it just left me cold. There was no personal relationship. In Psalms 34:8 it said, taste and see the Lord is good. Nothing to sink your teeth into. So this is a little nature video clip I made last year. And I think it illustrates the point that God is revealed even in the simple things like brown-eyed Susans. These are the brown-eyed Susans. And so every day you go up and down the road and you see these. And you can see there's not much of a mystery why they call them brown-eyed Susans. It's because they look like little brown eyes. Now the eyes of the Lord are watching over His people. There is a providential care that God has for His people. And you see this in the brown-eyed Susan. Matthew 10:30. Even the hairs on your head are numbered. Verse 29. 2 sparrows were sold for a farthing. Verse 30, when a sparrow falls, God knows all about it. So just remember, God has you in His care and keeping today. His hand is over you to protect you, to guide you. Proverbs 3:6, in all thy ways acknowledge Him. He will direct your path. He wants to teach us lessons of trust. Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart. So as you see these little reminders in nature that you have a Father in heaven, just remember, you got nothing to worry about on this earth. And when you pray, and we should be praying, say, Lord, reveal yourself in nature. Help us to learn these lessons that will teach us to understand more about you. When you pray, Luke 11:2, when you pray, say, Our Father, which art in heaven. So may your Father bless you today and give you a peace that passes understanding. And that's the beauty of the brown-eyed Susans. My dear friends, may this evening prove to be one of peace. Hope you have a good night of rest. Hope you wake up in the morning refreshed and your heart warmed by the knowledge that there is a God that cares for you and loves you. 1 Peter 5:7, casting all your cares upon Him because He cares for you. Have a nice evening.